Joe Rogan just said something wild that got everybody talking. And guess what? He's calling out the silence around Ellen DeGeneres now that Diddy's drama is everywhere. Like, how is nobody connecting these dots? We're about to dive deep into why Ellen's name keeps popping up, but everyone's acting like they don't see it.
Talking about Diddy and his oil parties with these 18-year-olds, like, do I think it's good? No. I want to beat up their dad, but other than that, I don't really give a
When Diddy got arrested for all these serious charges, the internet went crazy digging up old videos of celebrities talking about his parties. You know what they found? A whole bunch of clips of Ellen and Diddy being super cozy on her show, making jokes about those infamous parties that now look mad suspicious.
All right, we're back with Sean Diddy Combs. Is it Diddy today? Because sometimes you're Puffy and sometimes you're Diddy. Or sometimes you're Daddy. What are you today?
I'm so confused today with it, as long as you say it in a nice way.
But wait till you hear what Joe Rogan actually said about this whole situation. According to him, there's a reason why nobody's really pressing Ellen about her connection to Diddy, even though she had him on her show multiple times and they literally joked about those parties that are now at the center of criminal investigations. And honestly, when you think about it, the silence is deafening.
So I guess Diddy just kept people at his houses because he's got multiple houses and he's just had freak out part. Look at him, look at Saucy sit down and go, Saucy.
Yeah, no, Saucy's crazy. Have you seen Saucy twerk?
And here's where it gets even crazier. Remember when Ellen's show got canceled back in 2022 after that whole toxic workplace scandal? Well, apparently that wasn't the end of her problems. Fast forward to now, she literally fled the country right after Trump won the election, moved to the UK, and said she's never coming back to America. Coincidence? I don't think so. Plus, there are some spicy details about what really went down behind the scenes that nobody's talking about. Okay, so before we get into the Joe Rogan stuff, let's do a quick recap of why Ellen even matters right now. Back in 2020, Ellen's whole world came crashing down when BuzzFeed News dropped a bomb, exposing that her show, the one with the "Be Kind" motto, was actually a nightmare to work at. We're talking racism, intimidation, people getting fired for taking bereavement days, and toxic bosses making everyone's life miserable. Employees were literally saying that the whole "be kind" thing was fake, just for the cameras. One former employee straight up said, "That's be kind of stuff that only happens when the cameras are on. It's all for show." The scandal got so bad that 3 executive producers got fired, and Ellen had to apologize on air. But here's the kicker. Most people blamed it on the producers, not Ellen herself. She kinda got away with it by saying she didn't know what was happening, even though it's her name on the show. The show limped along for 2 more seasons and finally ended in 2022. Ellen said it was because the show wasn't challenging anymore, but we all know the real reason. Her reputation was destroyed.
As you may have heard, this summer there were allegations of a toxic work environment at our show, and then there was an investigation. I learned that things happened here that never should have happened. I take that very seriously, and I want to say I am so sorry to the people who were affected.
So now let's get to what Joe Rogan actually said about Ellen in this whole Diddy situation. On his podcast, Rogan was talking about how weird it is that so many celebrities were openly talking about Diddy's parties for years, like it was some badge of honor. He specifically mentioned Ashton Kutcher and other celebs who would brag about going to these parties. And you know who was one of the main people having these conversations with Diddy on camera? Ellen freaking DeGeneres.
You don't have any real personal beef with Diddy, but it's got to go down. The bits are there. I'm a gold miner. I just found some gold.
Rogan pointed out something that a lot of people are thinking but not saying out loud. How did all these famous people go to these parties and not see anything? Like, Diddy's being charged with some serious stuff, including organizing what they're calling freak-off parties, where illegal things allegedly happened. And yet, celebrities like Ellen, who literally had multiple conversations with Diddy about these parties on national television, are staying completely silent now. The most suspicious part? In one interview from 2018, Diddy told Ellen, "I invite you to all my parties, but you just haven't seemed to show up." Then he talked about how the parties start at 9:30 p.m., but the real parties, the different type of party, start at midnight on the top 2 floors of hotels. Ellen's reaction? She said, "Oh no, I know about them." Wait, what? Do you know about them?
Is that going to be a new thing? Are you going to try to be early?
Yes, I'm trying to be early.
Are you going to be early for my party?
Yes, I am. No.
No.
You know I have to arrive fashionably late.
All right. Not too late, though.
Not too late?
Not too late, please.
What time would you like me there?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But not too late, because you know, once you get there, the party really starts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's break down why this matters so much and why Joe Rogan thinks it's suspicious that nobody's really talking about Ellen's connection to all this. First off, Ellen had Diddy on her show at least 3 times that we know of. Each time they would joke and laugh about his legendary parties. In a 2002 interview with Conan O'Brien, Diddy even joked about needing locks on the doors for his parties. At the time, people laughed it off as a funny comment. Now, that comment hits different, knowing what he's being accused of.
They just, so you have, if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but
Yeah.
But here's what makes Ellen's situation even more interesting. After Diddy got arrested in September 2024, old clips of their interviews started going viral. People started asking questions like, what did Ellen know? And why isn't she saying anything? The internet detectives found a weird tweet from 2016 where Ellen called Diddy Cuddle McSnugglestuff. And then, when paparazzi recently asked her about the Diddy allegations, she completely dodged the questions and looked super uncomfortable. Her body language said everything.
And I do feel like you may not do that. You're neat though, right? I would imagine your closet is color coordinated. Everything is hung in a certain,
Yes.
right? So you're neat, it's just that you're not the person that puts it back. All right.
Joe Rogan's point is simple. If you were close enough to Diddy to have him on your show multiple times, joke about his parties, and claim you know about them, then you should be willing to speak up now that he's facing criminal charges. The silence from Ellen and others is what Rogan finds sus. But hold up, because there's another layer to this story that makes it even more complicated. Remember that toxic workplace scandal we talked about earlier? Well, it turns out there might be more connections between Ellen's behavior and the whole Diddy situation than we thought. According to former employees who spoke to various news outlets in 2025, Ellen wasn't just mean. She allegedly created an environment where people were scared to speak up about anything. Sound familiar? That's exactly the type of environment that people say existed around Diddy, where everyone knew stuff was going on, but nobody wanted to say anything because of power dynamics. One former cameraman said Ellen had this look they called the Ellen gaze, which he described as Queen searching for her next execution. He said people were genuinely terrified of her. Another insider claimed that she banned Gordon Ramsay from her show for 8 seasons just because he made a joke about her cooking during a segment. The pattern here is control and silence. Ellen controlled her set with fear, and allegedly, Diddy controlled his circle the same way. Both had people around them who were too scared or too invested to speak out. Now let's talk about some of the wildest details that have come out about both Ellen and Diddy that show just how deep this rabbit hole goes. Multiple celebrities have been on record praising Diddy's parties over the years. LeBron James famously said, "Ain't no party like a Diddy party." Ben Stiller appeared in a Bad Boys music video talking about these parties. But Ellen, she was one of the few who admitted on camera that she knew about the different types of parties Diddy threw. That's a whole different level of acknowledgement.
Diddy party, but there's a camera that swings around and they go, hey, yo, oh, Odell Beckham, and you see Justin Bieber's head come up from his crotch, and he looks in the camera and he's very confused. It's a really disturbing video.
At that time, Puff was the biggest guy in the world. You couldn't even get in his parties. And he was throwing a party. He said, yo, Playboy, this party's $1.5 million. I said, for what? I mean, what are you saying? It costs $1.5 million to throw this party. I said, Puff, I love it. The party's amazing. Yes, the mayor is here and everything. I said, but that's too much money. I said, you come to my place in LA? I'll throw you a party for $400. That will rival this party. And he got a little mad. He was like, yo, no, I'm known for this shit. Don't front.
In 2009, right after Chris Brown was accused of hitting Rihanna, Ellen questioned Diddy on her show about why he let Chris Brown use his house. Ellen was acting all high and mighty about domestic violence, saying, "I don't want any girl thinking it's okay to go back to a guy who hit her." But fast forward to 2020, and Ellen's own staff were saying they experienced abuse and toxic behavior at her show. The hypocrisy is real, y'all.
Well, this leads me to the perfect thing, because I would like you to clear something up. There's
Yes.
a lot of talk going on with Chris Brown being at your place in Miami, and you arranging Chris and Rihanna getting back together.
And it's my house. And I'm allowed to give my house to whoever I want to give my house to.
Sure.
That's number one. Number two is that I'm the type of person that I don't cast a stone or cast a judgment on anybody. And so if a friend or friends ask me for a favor, then I'm going to be there for a favor.
In November 2024, right after Trump won the election, Ellen and her wife Portia sold their Montecito mansion and moved to rural England. Sources close to them said they're never coming back back to the United States. Ellen claimed it was because of the election, but here's the thing. Diddy's trial was ramping up at the same time, and more celebrity names were being mentioned in court documents. Alright, now we're getting to the stuff that's really under the radar that most people don't know about. In late May 2025, there were rumors flying around that Ellen had an arrest warrant because of something related to her former DJ, Steven Twitch Boss, who died in December 2022. The rumor claimed that a recording from Twitch was played during Diddy's trial. Now, fact-checkers like Snopes confirmed this was false, but here's what's interesting. Why would that rumor even start? What connection did people think existed between Ellen, Twitch, and Diddy? Some people online have been speculating that Twitch knew too much about what really went on behind the scenes at Ellen's show, and possibly even had information about Hollywood's dark side. Obviously, these are just theories and nothing's been proven, but it shows how deep the distrust runs. In her Netflix special, For Your Approval, that came out in September 2024, Ellen addressed getting kicked out of show business. She joked about it, saying, "The Be Kind girl wasn't kind." That was the headline. But what a lot of people missed was how she talked about the toll it took on her ego and self-esteem.
All right, well, let me catch up on what's been going on with me since you saw me last. I decided to take up gardening. I got chickens. Let me see what else I can tell you about that's been going on. Oh yeah, I got kicked out of show business.
She said, "There are such extremes in this business. People either love you and idolize you, or they hate you, and those people somehow are louder." This sounds like someone who's bitter about being exposed, not someone who's actually sorry for what happened. In May 2025, Aaron Rodgers went on Joe Rogan's podcast and tried to compare Ellen's old talk show set to Epstein Island because of the similar-looking architecture. While Rogan quickly shut that down, saying it looked like a building in LA and was probably coincidental, the fact that people are even making these connections shows how far Ellen's reputation has fallen. People are literally comparing her to one of the worst criminals in modern history.
Just look at the temple and then look at the...
Let me see Ellen's background. What? Oh, similar. That looks like a building, though.
Sure.
Yeah. Is that a building in LA? That might be a building in LA.
So what is the internet saying about all this? Let's check out some of the reactions from regular people who are putting two and two together. On Twitter, someone wrote, "Ellen knew about those parties and now she's living her best life in England, while Diddy's facing life in prison. Make it make sense." Another viral comment said, "Joe Rogan is the only one brave enough to say what we're all thinking. Why is Ellen getting a pass when Ashton Kutcher is getting roasted for the same thing?" On TikTok, one user posted, "Ellen dodging questions about Diddy, then immediately leaving the country is the most guilty behavior I've ever seen. She knew something." And this comment really sums it all up. The fact that Ellen had a whole toxic workplace exposed, never really apologized properly, then fled to another country when Diddy's case heated up is not the coincidence y'all think it is. The public is not buying Ellen's innocent act, and Joe Rogan speaking up about it is giving people permission to say what they've been thinking all along. Remember at the beginning, when we asked why nobody's really talking about Ellen in relation to Diddy? Here's the answer. Ellen still has powerful friends in Hollywood and the media. Even though her show's over and her reputation took a hit, she's still Ellen DeGeneres. She's still got connections, money, and the ability to control her narrative to some extent. But here's what's changing. People like Joe Rogan, who have massive platforms and don't play by Hollywood's rules, are starting to point out the obvious. They're asking the questions that mainstream media won't ask. Rogan's whole thing is about calling out BS wherever he sees it, and he sees it with Ellen. The fact that she had multiple conversations with Diddy about these parties, admitted to knowing about them, and is now completely silent while Diddy faces life in prison, that's suspicious behavior, and Rogan's right to point it out. The reason the title of this video says Ellen might be worse than Diddy isn't because we have proof she did anything illegal. It's because at least Diddy's facing consequences for his alleged actions. Ellen, she got to retire with millions of dollars, move to a beautiful countryside in England, and act like nothing ever happened. She's not facing any real accountability, and that might be worse in its own way. So what's next for Ellen? Honestly, probably nothing. She's in the UK, living her best life, posting pictures of sheep in her yard and horseback riding through the countryside. Unless someone comes forward with actual evidence of her knowing about or participating in anything illegal related to Diddy, she's probably going to get away with just being remembered as the mean talk show host. As for Diddy, his trial is ongoing, and more names keep getting mentioned. Will Ellen's name officially come up in court? We'll have to wait and see. But one thing's for sure, Joe Rogan and the internet aren't letting this go anytime soon. The court of public opinion has already already made its decision about Ellen, and it's not looking good for her legacy. The woman who built her brand on being kind is now known for being anything but that. So what do you think about all this? Do you believe Ellen knew more than she's letting on about Diddy's parties? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to see more content breaking down celebrity drama that the mainstream media won't touch, make sure you check out our other videos.